Eric Horton is the guitarist. Jeff Parimba is the other guitarist, and John Campos is the singer, and Dino is the bass player.
Okay, very cool. And how long has Seventrain been together as a band?
This formation that did the album has been together since mid-2012. Originally, I did do some tracks with Eric Horton. Eric was the only kind of original member of the band, and he hired me to go in and do some recording. I guess it was in 2003, and we did an album together, but it was never released. And actually, 3 of the songs off that album we re-recorded for this album.
Okay, very cool. What is going on with you guys right now? What do you guys have lined up? Do you have any shows or anything getting ready for?
Yeah, we have a couple coming up. We're doing the PCH Club in Long Beach, California on September 6th, which is Saturday, and then we're playing September 12th, Friday, September 12th at Ramona Main Stage opening for Puddle of Mud.
Oh, that'll be cool, hey?
Yeah, it'll be fun. And we just opened for Pat Travers a couple weeks ago down here in Southern California, and then we've just recently been nominated for Rock Album of the Year at the San Diego Music Awards, which will be happening at Humphreys by the Bay. I think it's on October 6th or 8th, sometime beginning of October.
Very cool. I wish you guys the best of luck with that.
Thank you very much.
For sure. Before I forget, I want to thank the guys from Lords of PR for hooking us up and getting us together. So big props to those guys.
Yes, absolutely.
So how often are you guys getting together these days and practicing?
That's funny. This is our these shows coming up will actually be only our probably 6th or 7th show together. We just started, the album came out in early, I guess it was February, and started our album release party was with Michael Schenker, and we opened for him and down here in Southern California, and we practice probably maybe once or twice a month, right before, the weekend before the show or something like that. But we worked out a set, and we've been playing pretty much the same set at these shows. So we did throw in an extra little special cover tune at the last show. We did Somebody Get Me a Doctor by Van Halen as our encore. So, but that's pretty much it. We don't practice, we're not grinding 3 or 4 nights a week or anything like that. We're all pretty seasoned players, and we've been doing it for a long time. So, we know the songs, we played them on the record, so we just get together and run through them, and we're good to go.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, and when the PR guys sent me the album, I listened to it, and I was like, this is some badass rock and roll right here. So.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yep.
Yeah, we've been doing it for a long time. I used to be in a band called 24/7 Spies, which was on Atlantic Records back in the 90s, and toured all over the world, and went to Europe and all over the U.S. and opened up for a bunch of nationals, and did that for a number of years. And Eric Horton, the guitar player, used to be in Cage, and he did a couple albums with them, and went to Europe. And then the bass player, Dino, he was in a band called Tourniquet, which I think the album that he played on was on Metal Blade, and Marty Friedman played on a track or two. And they went over to Europe and toured the U.S. And so they're, everybody in the band has done stuff. And even Jeff Parimba, the guitar player, he was in a band with Coffee Baker, Ginger Baker's son, for quite some time. And so, we've kind of individually we've all paid our dues, but this is kind of it's a new band, and we're promoting it and hoping everybody digs it.
Yep. Very well. Well, I know when I've played the track so far, the response I have gotten has been very well. So
awesome, that's great.
That I know for sure. So, question for you, I guess specifically, is what got you into music? What kind of influences did you have growing up, and do you even have to this day that keep you doing this?
For me personally, everything. I was kind of popped out at birth. Into kind of a musical family. My grandfather played guitar, and he was Portuguese, and he did some Portuguese albums, and My mom played piano kind of, as a hobby, but she was very good. And growing up, I pretty much, listened from everything to, Burt Bacharach, to the Beatles, to, the Monkees, to Herb Alpert, and, whatever my parents would play while they were, cleaning the house and stuff. And then I started playing, my mom enrolled me into the Yamaha School of Music when I was 3 years old. I got my music degree when I was 6, and then started playing drums, excuse me, when I was, from about 6 to 12, I took private lessons from a professor at a college down here in San Diego. And right after that, I started, playing in clubs and being in cover bands, and was a major metalhead in high school, and, loved, the whole European metal scene and Tigers of Pantang and, Iron Maiden and that whole thing. And when I joined 24/7 Spies, I got more into like the funk and groove and the Meters and, Earth, Wind and Fire and all the cool stuff. And they actually incorporated, the whole funk soul vibe with the heavy metal. And I was a fan of their band before I ever joined, because they had 2 albums out before I got in the band. And, I was like, if I could be in a band, in any band, if I could pick a band to play with, it would be them, because they, incorporate all these different styles of music, and metal and reggae and funk and jazz and all this stuff. And they're on a label, and they don't have the label saying, oh, you got to write a hit single and you got to play like this, and they always did what they wanted, so it was great for me.
So tell me, when you go from, being an artist that, like you said, you're like, man, if I could pick a band, these would be the guys, and then you end up in that band. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah, it's amazing, and the funny thing was right before I joined Spies, I was in a band called Gangland, which had a couple, I don't know if this is going way back, but it had a couple of members from a band called Sound Barrier that was on MCA, and the guitarist from Sound Barrier ended up in Fishbone for a little while, but him and I have been friends for years, and he introduced me to Jimmy, the guitar player for 24/7 Spies. And the week that I auditioned for Spies, I auditioned for DRI, a band called Life, Sex, and Death. I don't know if you remember them, but that's pretty old school. And 24/7 Spies. And I met Jimmy again at a NAMM show in Anaheim. I guess it was in January of '91. And I gave him a demo of the band I was in at the time, and I said, hey, I'm looking for a new band. If, you happen to hear of anybody, pass my demo along, I'd appreciate it, and just, let them know I'm looking. And he called me about 2 nights later after the NAMM show, like at 2 in the morning, and he was like, hey, it's Jimmy. And I was like, oh, hey, what's going on? And he goes, well, I think I got a band for you. And I was like, who? And he goes, us.
That's awesome.
I was like, really? And he goes, yeah. He goes, do me a favor. He goes, tomorrow morning, he goes, do you know any of our songs? And I was like, yeah, I know everything off the first 2 albums already. And he goes, okay. He goes, can you record your drums? And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, take a recorder, go on your kit, and play 30 seconds of this song, 30 seconds of this song, 30 seconds of this song. He goes, and call me back when you have it done and play it to me over the phone. So I did that, and I called him back about a half hour later, and I played it over the phone to him. He's like, you got the gig.
That's cool.
And he's like, we'll send you a plane ticket, and we'll give our manager your phone number, and you'll be out here next week. And I think I flew out there, and we did 2 rehearsals in New York, and we were out on tour. We were finishing up the Gumbo Millennium tour.
That's awesome. It must have kind of felt surreal at the time, I'm guessing.
It was. Everything happened real quick. It was like, the manager called me and said, do you have any bills? You need stuff paid for to get out here? What do you need? We're going to, ship your kit Delta Air Cargo, and you're going to, you'll be out here, and here's the tour dates, and here's the itinerary, and we're going out on the road. And it was like, wow, I guess I better know these songs. It was like a crash course,
Right. All right, well, very cool. Thanks for sharing that story. I appreciate that.
Sure.
So, has, so being that you're seasoned in this, with this, this whole thing, has it been, through the years, has it been pretty easy for you? Has there been a lot of trials and tribulations you've had to go through?
Yeah, there was a time when I didn't want to tour anymore, and I just felt like I wanted to record, and I spent probably 8 to 10 years just doing session work. I've appeared on 22 albums myself, and I just kind of, it got to the point where I just kind of wanted to just, do sessions for other people, and what I got from that was I didn't always get to do what I wanted. I had to play kind of catering to that artist, and it was, what they wanted to hear instead of what I wanted to hear, because they're the one, paying for me to come in and play drums on their stuff. So, when I would get the record after the fact, it would be all Pro Tooled out, and my beats would be changed, and sometimes, it wouldn't even sound like me. And I was like, boy, I kind of like to get back and have that, vibe working with other people again, and that, friendship, and sit down and work out parts and say, kind of work on the arranging and the producing portion of it, and, writing portion of it all in one. And pretty much, everybody in this band has known each other for, 15, 20 years, just being in different various bands around the area. So, we all know each other. We've all played with each other at one point in time, and, over the past couple decades. So, it's kind of fun to just, kind of gel and play with each other and bash stuff out and have those creative juices flowing again.
Nice. So, with as far as the band goes, how did you guys come up with the name Seventrain? What is there any story behind that?
No, not really. It was by default. Since Eric they kind of used it as a working title in 2003 when I worked on that record with him. We kind of, when we had this lineup, we knocked it around a little bit, and we said, what do you want to call the band, and we first started playing together, and Eric was just like, let's just call it Seventrain. It's already, kind of been a working title, and if we come up with something better, then, we'll go with that. But for the time being, we'll just use that, and it stuck. We finished the record, and we mixed it and mastered it, and we're like, well, I guess it's going to be called Seventrain. So there's no big story behind it, or, we didn't take the Seventrain to practice every day or anything like that. It was just kind of a cool name. It had kind of a bluesy feel to it, so we went with it.
Yeah, very cool. And then, again, as with the album, who designed the cover art for you guys? Because that's really cool.
It was a friend of Eric designed or did the artwork for it, and I don't know who it was, but that was the original artwork that we were going to have for the album in 2003, and we just went with the same cover, and a buddy of mine at work did the Photoshop and put it all together, and he was like, yeah, I'll do it for you, I'll help you out with the packaging and all that stuff, and that was it. It came together fairly simple. We even told each other, in the band, we said this next record that we do next year, we have to really make sure that the packaging looks good, and we have a nice new cover and some good artwork and stuff, because that one was kind of just thrown together. But we did what we had to do to get the record out.
Okay, very good. Well, props to the artist.
Yes.
So, where is a good place for people to find out more about Seventrain? What social networking and websites do you guys use?
We're on Facebook. You can look us up for Seventrain on Facebook. We're on Reverb Nation, MySpace, all the typical, stuff where you would find us. You can just Google Seventrain and you'll find a ton of stuff and reviews and interviews with us. As far as getting the album, it's on CD Baby. It's also available digitally on Amazon and iTunes. And I think you can order a hard copy or a CD on Amazon as well. And it's available in Japan and Europe and the U.S. and Canada and all over the place. You just type it in and you can get it.
Okay, cool. And do you guys have any merch for sale somewhere?
We do have T-shirts. We're still getting women's T-shirts printed, but we have men's right now. And if you just, we don't have a site set up yet. We're currently building a website, kind of after the fact. But we originally wanted to try to get it done before the album came out, and we lagged because we had a ton of other stuff we were doing, but it'll probably be up and running hopefully within the next month or so. And if you want a T-shirt, you can reach us on Facebook and just send us a message or whatever, or leave us a message, and we'll get all your information. We'll get it out to you. T-shirts are only $10.
Yeah, cool, and that's not a bad price at all for a T-shirt.
Yeah, we decided we're doing T-shirts for $10 and CDs for $5 because everybody else at the shows pretty much sell their CDs for $10 and their T-shirts for $20. So we want to try to outbid them and get our music into the hands of everybody. So
right, exactly. Because once you get the music into their hands, if they really dig you, they'll come back to more shows.
That's it.
Definitely. What with this current album, where did you guys record at? What studio and mixing and all that stuff do you guys do?
Eric and I have had this long-term friend that we've worked with. I've actually done 4 or 5 albums with him over the years. This guy named Don Lithgow, and he's worked with Blink 182 and Newfound Glory, and he was kind of like on the cusp, the cutting edge of all the pop punk rock bands and stuff that were coming up in San Diego and Poway and stuff like that. They'd all record at his studio. So he used to have a studio in Escondido, and he moved the studio to Menifee, kind of like in back of his house. And it's kind of a rural area, but it's kind of nice because you can focus and work there, and don't have to be bothered by a bunch of people stopping by the studio and coming in and hanging out. And we just worked out a deal with him to do the record, and we really took our time with the record. I think we recorded it over the course of almost a year, but if you break down the hours that we were actually recording, we probably did the whole album in about 7 days. So, and I think we only spent probably 4 days or 5 days mixing and mastering. So we pretty much got the whole record done in probably 10 to 12 days.
Cool. So what's the reason to spread it out over so much time?
It was just because it was a new band. We originally kind of got together. We played a memorial show, or a benefit show. It was actually for a guy named Big Vinny, who was a bass player, sound guy in the San Diego area that we were all friends with. And he had passed away, and we wanted to raise money for his family for the medical bills and the funeral costs and expenses and stuff. And he didn't have any insurance when he passed, and so they had a bunch of bands play at a show down here, and I went up and played Snortin' Whiskey by Pat Travers with the rest of the guys, and it just, the room lit up, and everybody was, had smiles on their faces, and everybody had a good time. And after the fact, we said, we should get together and talk about doing a record. And so everybody was on board, and we scheduled a meeting, and we all sat down and went over to Eric's house and hung out and watched a football game and talked about everything. And everybody was like, yeah, let's put the songs together and figure out what we're going to do. And we went into pre-production for a couple of months, and we really wanted to take our time with it. It wasn't really a huge rush to, we didn't have a record label breathing down our necks saying,
right,
okay, you have to have it done by this specific date. So we just kind of, took our time, and everybody else has families and their own lives, and it was just, there's no rush, let's just take our time and do it right and do the best we can, on our own.
So what's the writing process like for you guys? Is there one person that does most of the writing, or is it more of a collaboration between everybody?
For this album, it was most of the songs were, actually all the songs were written by Eric, the guitar player, and John Campos, the singer. And they had been kind of already demoed many of these songs. And like I said before, I think it was Bleeding Trouble and Never were originally recorded on the album in 2003 that we recut. So, we kind of had the songs, we kind of had a structure of the songs, or like a skeleton of all the songs already. And then we just took them in when we started doing pre-production rehearsals. Somebody would say, hey, why don't we add this here, or why don't we do a triplet here, or why don't we do a break here, and then people would add their salt and pepper parts to it, and that's what ended up becoming the songs. For this next record that we're writing right now, everybody's kind of throwing the ideas at us, so it's not going to be so much, these are the songs that are completed, learn the parts, and, kind of rearrange and produce it. Now it's going to be, hey, what do you think of this section? What do you think of this section? How about this for a chorus? How about this for a verse? So, it's more of a combination of everybody's ideas and influences.
Okay, very cool. And being that you guys have all been doing this for quite some time, so obviously, back when you first started, you didn't have all this neat computer software and gear and all this stuff to help things along. So how has the whole change with the industry as far as recording process been for you guys, or been for you, I guess?
Well, it's funny because I came from the school of 2-inch tape, and I loved it. And, that whole live vibe of, you got to get, you're burning studio time, so you got to get the drum takes in first or second take. And I kind of grew up like that. It wasn't like, okay, we're going to take 20 takes of this song and pick out the best one and see which one has the most fire or the best performance. And, it was always like, okay, you're paying for the studio time, make sure you have your stuff correct and nail it. And so when Pro Tools came along, it was like, man, it doesn't even seem like anybody has to know the song anymore. They just play the parts and then edit it together, and then you have, snap it to a grid and you have the perfect drum take, and there's no feel and there's no fluctuation and there's no vibe. It's like too perfect, and I don't like that. I don't come from that school. So when we did this record, we said, we're going to do it on 2-inch tape. We're going to, we're not going to snap it to a grid. We're not going to make it all perfectly on the 1, 2, 3, 4 on the downbeat. We're not going to have every snare hit perfect. We're going to play it like we would live. And that's what we did, and everybody just layered everything on top of the drums. And something that everybody trips out on is when I go in and cut drums, I don't cut with a guitar part or any other parts. I already know the song in my head. So I just cut to a click track and count it off, and then I play the song from beginning to end. And 9 out of 10 times the engineer or whoever's there or the producer says, I don't think you got all the parts. And I'll say, well, have the guitarist play to it. And sure enough, it's all there, and I've done that for almost all my life. So I'm comfortable, tracking like that. So, but it's a lot easier to record now, just because you can do ideas, you can lay down ideas at home, and everybody pretty much has Pro Tools now or some sort of recording device to where they can put down an idea and put down their overdubs or a vocal line over it and a melody, and you can show it to somebody else in the band, and it's like, oh yeah, I get it. Let's work on that idea.
Right. So definitely, it's helped for capturing those quick ideas so you don't lose them.
Yeah, and the fun thing is I'll think of a guitar line or something, during the day, or if I'm gone somewhere and I don't keep a recorder with me. So many of the times I'm calling myself and leaving myself a voicemail with the riff, and singing it into the phone. And then when I get home, I work it out on guitar, and then I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? So that's just how I come up with ideas and stuff.
Right. Very cool. Well, and once again, thank you for sharing that information. I'm not a musician, so just all of this, I find it very intriguing. So
that's funny, yeah.
I appreciate it.
Sure.
Okay, this question is specifically for you.
Okay.
If I grabbed your iPod or MP3 player or record player or 8-track player, however you like to listen to music, what bands would I find you listening to right now?
Let's see. In my car, I have a rotation of, I primarily listen to XM radio in my car, but if it's the CDs that I have in my car right now are Seven Dust, Seasons, Pat Travers Live, Go For What You Know, Pantera, Vulgar Display of Power, Earth, Wind and Fire's Greatest Hits, and Strength in Numbers 24/7 Spies. If you were to look in my iPod, you'd see everything from, oh my goodness, from Bob Marley to The Roots to Iron Maiden to Judas Priest to Black Label Society, Chili Peppers, 311, it just goes on and on. I don't discriminate when it comes to music. I listen to pretty much everything except country and western.
Very cool, and I love I love it when artists tell me have the eclectic, the wide ranging musical taste, because I personally do as well, and I think that artists that listen to everything, I think, make the best music, in my opinion.
Well, you just get it's funny because when I write and when I produce, it's kind of like you can pull those ideas from different places. You can add something that has a jazz flavor to it, or something that has, a guitar overdub that might be more of like a Nirvana guitar tone, or, a clean jazz, hollow body guitar tone, through a Fender Twin, or something like that. Whereas if all you do is listen to metal and you listen to, the heavy stuff, it's like that's what you know. And if that's what you're going for, that's cool. Everybody has their own, cup of tea. But I like to pull from, all those different influences that I've kind of established over my life, that, and salt and pepper my own music with it, and whatever band I'm working with or I'm in at the time.
Very good, very good. So, what do you do to relax when you're not doing all the music stuff? You, or I guess any of the other guys in the band, does anybody have any crazy hobbies that they like to do to kind of take a break for a minute?
For me personally, I like to travel. I go to any type of kind of tropical island in the Caribbean or Hawaii, or anything that has a beach to it, and a bar or something like that, or someplace where that has good snorkeling. You'll find me there. Primarily, I'm a beach person and a travel person. I like to go places that I've never been before. As far as the rest of the band, I don't really know. I know Jeff, the other guitar player, he's like constantly playing. He's in a cover band called 619. So he's like, when he's not playing with us, or we don't have a show, or we're not rehearsing, he's playing with them. So he's like constantly just playing guitar. I don't know of anybody else's specific hobbies, because I guess when we see each other, we're always focusing on music and working on our own stuff.
Well, I can tell you what, I ask that question to every band I talk to, and the number one answer is always, what do you mean, relax? We play more music.
Yeah.
That's what most bands tell me. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
But it's the love of it,
thing going, it's just like keep writing.
Yep, that's cool. Okay, so what would you say sets Seventrain apart from all the other bands out there? What what are they going to get when they listen to your music? What are they going to get when they come and see you guys live?
You won't find any pre-recorded music in our live show.
Yay.
You won't get anybody anything on a computer with a backing guitar track or backing vocals. You won't get any pre-recorded drums or a drum machine. It's all going to be 5 guys on stage sweating their asses off, playing everything live the best they can at every show. We put out 110%. We try to put on the best show that we can. We improve every show, and we just go for it. I think the biggest thing that bums me out, along with the way everything is going with Pro Tools and pre-recorded stuff these days, are more and more bands are incorporating it into their live shows. And I don't know if that's just because they can't do it anymore. I mean, some friends of mine just saw Motley Crue, and almost all of their stuff was like flown in and pre-recorded, and it's like, it's bad when Mick Mars is playing a guitar solo and there's a guitar behind him playing the rhythm, and it's
right.
Like, where's the other guitar player, or they're doing backing vocals, for Dr. Feelgood, and it's not them, so, or it's pre-recorded, I should say. So, that kind of bugs me, but, it is what it is. I guess, if I'm doing it for, 60 years, I'm probably going to do the same thing too, but I hope not. I want to play as long as I can, but, that's the main thing, I think what sets us apart from everybody else is Somebody in another interview, I think it was from Metal Shock Finland, asked, how would you describe your music? And I described it blues metal. And they were like, what's blues metal? You know, I've never heard that before. And that's kind of like the subgenre that we've kind of become is we're heavy. We're kind of on that border of hard rock and metal, but it has like a ton of blues influence. But we're not as bluesy as, say, like, you know, a Gary Moore or a Stevie Ray Vaughan or, you know, something like that. But, you know, we still, you know, have that kind of Judas Priest influence and, you know, Sabbath influence and all these different, you know, metal guys that, you know, we try to incorporate in the writing. But, you know, we come from the 90s, we come from the 80s, we come from the 70s. You know, that's the stuff we grew up on. So we want to kind of, you know, we want to take those roots of the bands that really aren't doing it that much anymore and put a little modern twist on it. But, you know, the people that come to our shows are in their 30s and 40s. Actually, they're in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. But in their 30s and 40s, and they're like, dude, there's nobody doing this anymore. You know, there's not any music like this anymore that's new. It's all, you know, we have to listen to our CDs or our old, you know, the old songs that we grew up on to get this kind of music. And it's kind of neat that we're kind of, you know, filling up this little niche that, you know, nobody else is really doing that much.
Yeah, very cool. I have to tell you, that is one question, and no offense to the other place that asked the question, but that's one question I don't ever ask a band. I don't ever ask a band what what style of metal, what genre of metal, because for me, metal music, whatever it is, if I like it, I like it. I could care less what genre.
Right.
You know, and that's what when I heard you guys, I'm like, you know what, these guys sound different. I'm not even going to try to figure out where to classify them. I just know they sound good to me.
Yeah, and some people are saying that, you know, they're giving us the moniker of, like, classic rock. And I was like, you know, when I think of classic rock, I think of, like, Leonard Skinner or, you know, I don't think of, like, what we're doing as classic rock. You know, I could see how someone would say hard rock or, you know, metal or with a blues vibe or a blues twist to it. But I'm the same way as you. You know, if I listen to something, if somebody gives me a CD or I check out a new band or something, if I dig it, it's a done deal. I don't care if, you know, what they call themselves or what it says in their bio. You know, as long as it's killer and I like it, then it's in my MP3 player. Exactly.
And that with you guys, I mean, that's one thing that I can say that I notice, you know, when I listen to you guys, and I'm sure, you know, people that I've been playing you guys for would say the same thing, or I would think they would, is I feel I can hear little touches of everything in there.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's, I mean, and from the discussion we've had and from what you've told me, that makes sense because, you know, you're into all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, it's true. You know, I mean, if you listen to the record from front to back, you'll hear things that are kind of like, oh, that could probably sound a little bit like Jane's Addiction, or that could be something off, you know, a Pat Travers record, or that could be something off, you know, has kind of like a Foo Fighters vibe, or that has something that has kind of a Judas Priest lick, you know, and it's like, and that's because that's all the stuff we used to listen to or still listen to, you know?
Yep. Very cool. Okay, what's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you at a live show you've done? And I will say that you're willing to talk about.
Craziest thing I've ever done at a live show. With Seventrain or without Seventrain?
With anybody. It doesn't have to be bad. I mean, when I say crazy, I mean it could be like that, oh my God, this is the most amazing moment ever on stage, you know?
Well, I played a festival, I think it was I want to say it was in Helsinki, Finland with 24/7 Spies. It was like the first big festival that I did with them called the Numerock Festival. And, or I should say one of the first festivals. And it was kind of cool because I think we played right after Inner Circle, and Georgia Satellites played right after us. And it was such a weird, eclectic kind of lineup to be able to be playing on stage and see, you know, a reggae band and the guys from Georgia Satellites on the side of the stage rocking out to what we were playing and seeing big smiles on their faces. I guess it was kind of cool. But Probably the craziest thing, one of the craziest things that I experienced was and I just said this on another interview a few days ago, was when 24/7 Spies played in Holland. Right when I got in the band, when we were on our way to the festival, it was in Holland, and they said, you're going to get stuff thrown at you on stage, and don't freak out. It's not because they don't like you. It's because they dig the band, and don't stop playing or anything like that if you get pelted with stuff. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I didn't think anything of it, and sure enough, like halfway through the first song, people start throwing these like hockey puck things at the stage, and there's tons of them, and they're hitting people, and we're dodging them, and I'm like, what the heck are they throwing? And then as soon as we're done playing, we see our road crew running around picking all this stuff up, and I was like, what is it? And they were hash cakes that were like big chunks of hash that they were throwing up on stage.
That's funny.
And it was hilarious. I had never experienced that before, and that was probably one of the things that I'll always remember about playing a festival in Holland.
Yeah, no doubt. That's that's cool. Okay, now it's time for the very most important question of the interview, so I hope you're ready.
Uh-oh. All right, go ahead. Let it roll.
And I say that with a lot of sarcasm, just so you know.
Okay. I have to let you know, like, my star sign, my horoscope sign, or what my favorite color is, or anything like that?
No. This is going to throw you off.
Okay.
You'll like it. Which one of you guys in the band spends the most time in front of a mirror before you go on stage?
John.
That was the quickest answer I think I've ever gotten.
Yeah, probably John, the singer. Yeah, he has to make sure that his shirt's tucked in properly, and he looks the best. The rest of us could probably, give two craps about what we look like, but yeah, he's definitely I would say, yeah, he's definitely the first.
Well, John, we appreciate the fact that you care about your looks and you're the pretty boy of the band. Very good.
Yeah, and he's the singer, so he should.
That's right. He's right up front there.
Yeah, he needs to play the part, so he has to make sure that he looks sexy.
Well, hell, they're all in front of you. They can't see you half the time.
Yeah, that's the good thing. That's why I don't really care that much.
But they can hear you over everything, so.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else you would like to tell the listeners? And then also, just so you know, I'm recording this as well, and I'll have it up on my YouTube channel eventually. So, but back to the question is there anything else that you would like to make sure people know about Seventrain that I have not asked you?
No, just come check us out. If you're in the Southern California area, we'd love to have you come out and partake of the festivities and come join our family and come see a show and come party with us. And we really hope to get to some other parts of the U.S. here pretty soon and start branching out, and hopefully we'll be in a city near you. And come check us out on Facebook. Come like us on Facebook. Check out the whole album is available for streaming on Reverb Nation if you want to check it out, and hopefully you dig it, and we'll make some new friends.
Hey, very cool. Well, everybody, that's Joel from the band Seventrain. And coming up, I have Let It Out, Carry the Cross, and Pains. We're going to do a triple shot, and probably later tonight I will throw some more of the album on as well. So if you can just hang on the line for a minute, I'm going to get Let It Out cranking.